right, so with this panel, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into to IoT and what's happening in the industry right now. But as I just teased a little bit before, instead of me reading your bios aloud, then I'll actually ask you to introduce yourself and just very briefly say a few words on what your favorite IoT product right now is and why. So very briefly, like 30 seconds.
30 seconds or 2 minutes?
30 seconds.
Okay, Krzysztof, Jonak, I represent Intel here, and at Intel I am responsible for our business in Central Eastern Europe countries. Regarding particular product, I think that for me most interesting right now is an overall idea of autonomous cars, because I believe this is product solution which gives us huge potential. Really huge potential from the perspective of opportunities, but also services which can be used based on idea.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm Magnus Melander from Stockholm. I am working with IoT in many different ways, including I have an alliance of 55 Swedish IoT startups who I try to help to go abroad. I'm also running a hardware co-working space in the field of IoT. My favorite product right now is actually a developer tool, which is from a company called Evothings, and it allows Java programmers to make fantastic IoT apps.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Niclas Fritz. I'm from Munich, Germany. I'm the co-founder of BatchOne. It's a company I recently founded to help hardware startups to design, develop, and manufacture their products, but also offer business development and sales support and access to capital. My most favorite IoT product at the moment is the Model S from Tesla, because they've added the self-driving features after the products were shipped. They can drive on their own now, and I think this should be a role model for a lot of other products to come.
Hey, I'm Indrek from Buildit Hardware Accelerator from Estonia. My duty there is to take care of everyone following the laws of physics. Pretty tough challenge. And I will not say what's the favorite IoT startup in the world, but I will say what's it in Estonia. So it's Starship Technologies, which is doing autonomous delivery robots, initially for couriers. So it's downscaled autonomous cars, but technology is a bit more complex because of tinier wheels and snow and other things. You have to be a bit more careful.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So I think I've found my, but I have two. So I'm going to give you two.
You're going to have one.
One which is in what you might call infratech. It's called Buffalo Grid, and it's a box that you bring to areas of the world that have no connectivity. It's solar powered, and it charges itself to bring power to mobile phones and offers a Wi-Fi network. So this is a UK company that's going to India and rural India to bring connectivity to those areas. And the other one is it's a home and a parenting set of tools called Bleep Bleeps, which are these little parenting helpers. And they've made something called Sammy Screamer, which you attach to your buggy. If you are leaving your buggy kind of outside of a restaurant and you bring the child in, and if anybody moves the buggy, i.e. moves this little device, then you get a little alert, because people get their stuff stolen all the time when you're not kind of watching it. So.
All right, great. So this is your panel. And if I can just have my slides up here, guys. So I have this slide that you guys probably seen. It's one of the ones that's often referred to when we discuss IoT. It's pointing at a report that we saw back in 2011 with Cisco saying that by 2020 we will have about 50 billion devices connected. Now, I don't know the exact number today. Maybe one of you guys know. I think it's around 20. Let's just say it's 20, meaning that we're still needing to get 30 billion devices on. My question to you guys, you've reflected a little bit on this already, but what will those devices be? Well, let me ask this in another way. what are the most booming trends that you guys see right now? You maybe want to start. You see a lot of them at the
Well,
program?
I can see something. I think the numbers are ridiculous. It's completely wrong focus. Nobody knows, and nobody can ever count them anyway. So it's good marketing from Ericsson initially.
Right.
It's going to be huge. I mean, that's the only thing we know. And the most in numbers will obviously be sensors, many types of sensors. That's where the huge volumes, I guess, will be.
Okay. And you guys down here, if you think of it a little bit more on the consumer product side, any things that's right there for you?
I would say it's mostly going to be infrastructure and monitoring of it. It's mostly going to be industrial, manufacturing, logistics. Home is just a minor fluke.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so same. I believe key here is this is not about whatever it will be 50, 30, 40, 60. What is crucial and what is clear for us, I think already for some time, is that this number will be huge, as you said, okay?
Right.
And then there are some obvious areas which were mentioned. Definitely automotive will be another area where amount of connected cars based on like Tesla example or others may grow like extremely quickly, okay? So this is not about like number of the devices, but how people will be using it. And whatever, there will be good services based on connected devices.
All right, great. So, given that this is from the ACE Creative, I'd actually like you to think a little bit about, or talk a little bit about, if we look at the creative industry with IoT, if you look at things like music, gaming, architecture, design, and so on, what do you see the current trends in that right now relating to IoT?
I mean, I can speak a little bit to what I see in London, which is that traditional design businesses are looking at the potential of what a sensor can bring to both their design processes, but also the end product. So in buildings, it's obviously kind of new building management, people inserting sensors for insurance purposes, for building insurance purposes. In the gaming world, I think the gaming world had a bit of a moment with ARGs back in the days. I don't know if it will come back to it. It might. It might decide to do sort of citywide gaming again in a really big way. But I think that everybody is certainly aware that something's happening and wanting to get involved. And as I mentioned in my talk, the tools are there. So people might just be prototyping 1 to 5 of something at the minute and looking to grow that or looking to partner up with the right partners.
Right. Anyone else?
Well, I work primarily with applications in large companies, using small companies, so to speak. So one area which we work a lot with at home now is with people like H&M, who are really curious to figure out how this type of technology can help them. But they are looking very widely, everything from how stores will be designed to how actual garments will be done and so forth. And so in general, I think that IoT is really a customer-driven kind of, it's not an industry, it's a process to me. It's just a way to another internet. So, but it's customer-driven, thus very fragmented. So it's very difficult to have generic statements on things like designers and what have you. So,
I also have the feeling that we are kind of at, before doing the next step, because I see at the moment that there are a lot of new sensor companies that are coming out. So in Munich, we have a company called TopoSense, and they've developed a new generation of radar and ultrasound sensors. And the advantage is that they can basically detect everything in real time and in 3D. So what they can do is they can basically simulate a camera. And these sensors are very small, very low energy, and this enables us to do a lot of more things in, VR games or something. These sensors can just be in your living room, and they can basically, build a living room.
Yeah, so maybe just to add to that actually what is beauty of IoT is that opportunities are endless, okay? This is very much, and this is why we have a lot of interesting startups appearing these days, because this is about like really coming with bright idea and then building on this idea, because then technology will help. Whatever kind of sensors solution you will use, technology will help. This is today about like really idea, and then building this idea using technology.
All right, so coming from down here, yeah.
I would like to say that it's not so much about the how or what, but the why. Or why the hell. IoT, like any new technological trends, is trying to achieve or trying to sell one specific thing. It's cost reduction. And cost reduction usually means getting people fired. And I think in next 20 years, we'll see IoT firing many people, and that's good.
Okay, great. So you guys talked a little bit about this, but in terms of sensors, trackers, platforms, and so on, we've seen a lot of new companies now being, introduced to the stage. We've companies like Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and so on that have the trackers, enablers, and platforms. But lately, we've also seen some of the big guys who are maybe more traditionally rooted in the digital software industry. Companies like Amazon with their new IoT cloud, with IBM with their Bluemix, Google is doing a lot of things. You guys are doing a lot of things. Who do you think will be the ones that survive this phase that we're in right now? Who are the ones that's going to come out on the other side and be the big guys there? And I won't let you answer because I know what you're going to say.
You want or not?
Not. You're welcome to say something.
So definitely, I strongly believe that Intel will be one who is like surviving.
Surprise!
No, but honestly, I believe people who will survive will be companies who are really able to implement standardization. Because I believe the biggest challenge related to IoT implementation is interoperability between various solutions. Okay, so definitely companies which will support and drive standardization, which will allow interconnectivity between various solutions, will be able to be successful on the market. Okay, whatever is the name of the company, but I believe standardization is key.
Okay.
Well, I have a completely different view, actually, because to me, this is only a phase of adding things to the internet. So it's still going to be internet. And if you look at the internet, there's not one or two winners. There are a lot of winners. And the biggest winners are the best users of the internet. So I think, I don't know, I hope it's going to be healthcare and, environment and all those big issues that are going to be the big winners out of IT.
I cannot predict the winners, but let's say IoT is it's just a temporary thing, temporary hype. What we're really interested in is Facebook of things.
Okay. Can you elaborate?
So right now the models are still pretty linear. Many companies are building their IoT stacks so that they provide anything from device till the data analysis. And
right.
Yes, you have API access, but this really not many other companies want to work with it. Now, interesting things come out when devices start to speak with each other without human or data analysis interaction. And we have still few years to go there, but it's getting closer.
All right.
I really disagree. I couldn't disagree more.
Yes, now we have a discussion.
Yeah. I don't really understand when anybody talks about automation in an IoT perspective, because that's what leads to the most problems, the most security issues, the most challenges, is when you have this if this then that of application spaces. And what works really well are these very simple, discrete applications. So applications that do, I talk to this thing and it orders me toilet paper. It doesn't order me toilet paper and check if my boiler's okay and check if someone's in the house and then triggers an alarm because it thinks that my cat is a burglar. This dependency on events happening is super dangerous, at least in my humble opinion.
I agree with the sensor end. At the sensor end, yes. But if we have a growth on the market, then just purely by statistics, we have too much data to handle.
We already have that. We already have that. We already have too much data and big data issues, and that's just a reality of all the things we're sensing. But if all you're trying to do is say, is this thing on or off at the right time? then yeah, okay, you've got a lot of pieces of data that say on or off, but you're not adding 20 devices information on top of that. You're not making, and certainly from the consumer end of consuming an experience of if this happens, then that happens, then this happens, but what did I program? Oh, I can't remember which one I have to switch off. It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
That's exactly why you have to leave humans out of it.
But you can't. How can you say this? We use Facebook. Facebook wouldn't exist if we didn't use it. So the Facebook of things is, you know, it would work if we get involved. Otherwise, it's just AI. Sorry.
Yeah, but actually there are two sides of IoT. One side is more consumer, where definitely what you are saying is like perfectly right. But then one area which will be growing extremely quickly is this machine-to-machine communication, and where actually human doesn't need to be part of, okay? But this is about like really taking out of huge amount of data, which we have already, as we just all agree, yeah? We have already tons of data. There will be even more data available. So then we need to have like proper mechanism which will be taking out informations which are useful, not data, information. And this is what will be happening as machine to machine. And here I agree. And based on that, you will be able to offer like services. Just imagine you are going with your car, and the system is automatically tracking that something is not behaving well, and system automatically telling you that you better go to service now, rather than you are risking your life in 500 kilometers.
But that's a consumer example. There's a person there. There's a person there. There's a person that has to consume this at some stage.
All right.
Really good. We said we're going to be controversial, so I actually agree a lot with you. And I would like to add a bigger problem to me is the privacy issue, because the security issue, we have learned to live with those, although we don't like them and we forget very rapidly. But the privacy issues are about to become humongous. And you know, anyone who puts a service in the market who is not architecture to deal with new requirements on privacy, they will have to rebuild the whole service. That's my absolute belief.
Niclas?
But I have some examples for startups that are doing things in the industry world. So Skybus, Enjoin, or others are reading machine data in factories. So when they see that, for example, a conveyor belt or something is starting to shake before it breaks, it sends an alarm. So this is how they actually set up a communication between machines and add value.
I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I mean, if you look at M2M, the M2M world has existed before we talked about IoT. And the industry automotive space has existed even before that, because you just had industrial sensors and you had a closed loop system. What hopefully companies are bringing in, and I think the gist of what I'm trying to say is that there's always a human element in this. There's never, and I know companies that have B2B offerings, and we're like, oh, we'll just put this in an ugly box and we'll sell it to our factory customers. And the factory customers were like, but I want a pretty box because I want to be able to tell my customers, look, I'm doing all this innovation, it's beautiful. There's always a human element, there's always a human consumer of the data and the data results and the visualization. Someone somewhere makes a decision.
All right. I'll leave that discussion for a minute and go on to the next question that I had. And that ties a little bit more into the business models emerging in the IoT industry. Yesterday I walked around and talked to some of the startups here, especially some of the ones who were actually having IoT products, and a lot of them said, we're going to gather data. It's going to be big data, and we're going to sell this data. First of all, they're probably not going to gather big data because they're doing like small things, not enough to just sell data. I think if you want to do big data, you talk to guys like Google or Facebook. They have big data and can make meaningful things out of it. But we've been at a time where the traditional transactional business model where you sell the hardware has been the thing, but now we're kind of branching into the more either consumer or business-oriented products where new business models emerge. What do you see that's happening there right now? What are some of the interesting trends? Anyone wants to go?
I think if you look at business models, I agree that first of all the startups have to focus on adding value. That's kind of a service they provide. And I think a lot of IoT companies have a great chance to offer hardware as a service so that customers don't have to do a big investment, but that basically the manufacturing price for the hardware is distributed over time. But I also think that big data itself is not the business model. It's maybe an additional argument to purchase this solution.
Okay.
Yeah, I fully agree. So we already touched that a bit earlier, that actually IoT will be happening from the devices perspective. Now this is about like really offering services, and these services can be based just on data, okay, mostly. Meaning we have tons of data. This is about choosing important information and use this information to provide value to the consumer, okay? Consumer, customer, whatever word we use. This is about like really choosing most important information and then providing value. This is new business model for me.
All right.
Well, I think that, you know, the one of the huge powers of IoT in general is that it allows companies to slowly, if they like, move towards adjacent industries. So it's, I normally say to a lot of insurance companies and security companies, you all have the same slogan, sleep well in the night or something like that. But that they are now starting to think that, you know, why don't we move into insurance from security or from security, you know. That's the most interesting part of it. You know. And then the other thing is that we keep on talking about what's happening now, like it's been like this forever and will stay forever. Remember, it was kind of 9 years ago we had a smartphone. We still talk about apps and stuff like they will always be there. I think it's about for new things to actually come to play here.
I agree. I think the toughest kind of time is for now for a small startup that has a manufacturing and a hardware component, because actually having the power to be a sort of Amazon Echo and have the hardware for free and we'll make money off of the rest of the services is really hard. Most hardware startups are probably not making great margins on the hardware to begin with. They might not even be making any money on them. And so there's this awkward sort of moment where they'll have to live with a model that is literally buy this thing off of me. And I might charge you a little bit for the data piece, but you have to have that upfront cost of the $200 to $300 on average. Crowdfunding is an unhelpful bias towards a less than $100 price point, when actually it's before the company has had a chance to really look at the manufacturing and then realizes that $50 of this is going to the GPS module, and then they're a little bit screwed. So it's everybody's learning, I think.
All right, so in a few minutes we'll have time for questions. So if you have a question, start to think about it. Or if you don't have a question yet, start to think about it. If you have one, you'll be able to ask it in a minute. Before that, I sort of have to go for, one of you guys said the H word, hype, and there is a lot of hype in this right now. I could tell you right now that, I was just looking at my phone, some of the applications that I have. My dog is right now lying down. The temperature in my fridge is 3 degrees. My garden is lacking calcium. Right now there's not a person in the toilet at my office, but there's been 3 today. That sort of things are good, but are they really necessary? And that's leading to my point. Are we at a point in time right now with IoT where it's just a hype? Or what will come out on the other side? Are we going to see manslaughter of startups in this?
So this is again referring to what kind of services you will offer, okay, and what kind of services we will value, okay. Customers will value, okay? There is this comment I heard, I think yesterday, regarding like smart bulbs, yeah? That probably you are really working with them twice, okay? First time when you are installing it, and you are testing how it does work, and then first time when you have party at home and you want to show off in front of your friends, and then probably not much more, okay? So then again, this is about like, I believe we are in the process of testing, okay? Everybody is testing what can be like really this, sorry for this wording, killing application, okay? What will really take off for customers, okay? And probably there is no yet 100% clarity what this application or solution is going to be, but everybody is looking for that, and I am pretty sure sooner or later we will have like much more focus on solutions which are well accepted on the market.
Mm-hmm.
I give a lot of credit to Gartner for the invention of the hype curve, because I think it's perfect.
Right.
But in this, and we are in the middle of the hype, which is terrible. It means that 9 calls out of 10 to me is completely waste of time. There's people who want to be in we want to be in the IoT. We are all in the IoT. Everybody's in IoT. So I think the only mistake that we make from the hype curve today is that the speed from the time from the hype to the plateau of productivity, whatever they call it, going to be much shorter than before. Because we're just adding things to the internet. So most of the tools and things and bits are already there. So I think that's where we have to work hard, even though it's still high.
Yeah, I see it similar. As I was saying, for me, Internet of Things, or like the hardware, is just an enabler. Yeah? So now we just have more technology to play with. It's basically just adding features to the internet. And the next thing we really have to do is put them together in a certain way that we really add value, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then we go beyond seeing if our toilet is occupied or not.
I can tell you now it is actually occupied. Just got a notification.
Yeah, you were talking about information overload, which is another topic.
Right.
And where, of course, Facebook of Things can help.
Let's not open that discussion one more time.
But the same is true as for any startup. The golden rule, how to get to the market and how to get with good products is you just have to make what people want. That's it. If you fail on that, and this is pretty big topic. If you fail on that, you can close down the shop.
All right. We have time for a couple of questions if anybody's sitting on something right down here.
Can I respond?
Question though is if we, oh yeah, sure, sorry. While we get a microphone down there.
I know I'm a woman on an all-men panel,
No,
but
I'm
honestly.
sorry. I'm sorry. That was not the reason.
No, I was just going to say the only thing that makes me, that kind of makes me sleep super well at night is the fact that the first Barbie was created, I think it was 1938. Mm-hmm. And by the time it was actually fully industrialized was in the 50s or so. And so there was a huge amount of time between this idea of having a prototype out, of showing it to people, of getting it into the market, and then making the market absolutely go nuts for it. It takes years, and I think that it is such a different marketing landscape than if you're building an app or you've built a website, that we really have to tweak our thinking around what the success of an MVP in IoT looks like. Because it might be that, you know, we have to work for 5 years to get to something, to a point where Britney Spears talks about it on MTV, and then that's it. You're making millions that year. I think the pace of it is very different.
All right, thank you. So let's have a question.
Yes, I have a question. We have a lot of hardware possibilities, a lot of companies producing really good sensors, a piece of hardware which can be used in IoT, but I see that there is a huge lack of ideas. We have great possibilities, but we have no ideas. So the key question, is this speculation of hardware companies, or why it's going so slow? What do you think?
Interesting.
It's, in my opinion, it's several things. First, there are lots of ideas. There are more ideas than you want to hear. There are not so many ideas that actually have a market or that are not mature enough. Problem with any hardware solution is that while entry barrier to the hardware is very easy, you have Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, whatever, but manufacturing is still in 70s. Not in 90s, in 70s. Same methods, same logistic methods, everything. Yes, some companies have implemented pull methods to produce smaller quantities and do it faster, but it only means higher price for the end customer because the rest of the industry is not following. So if we cannot remove the threshold in manufacturing, then we will have lots of failed Kickstarter campaigns, lots of failed Indiegogo campaigns, and lots of undelivered products. Hardware is hard because of manufacturing, not because of prototyping.
So I see the panel nodding a little bit. So I take that as the full answer from the entire panel. Do we have time for an extra question? This one over here. Yep, right over here. If you can raise your hand again. Hey there. Go ahead.
Hi. I would like to ask about the red line. Where is the red line in thinking? Because, for example, it will be like a panel for biotechnology. For sure, one of you will be ethics or lawyer, because there are a lot of talks. Actually, coming to your statement that you had an application and your dog is laying down is cool, right? But what about seeing your grandmother and having information transmitting from internal cardioverter, which will be also very useful for you, for your personal doctors, for your family, but as well for insurance company. So when the talks will start and describing where is the red line, the border?
So I think this ties into the discussion we had about privacy.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I think just to respond very quickly, because I'm sure there's other responses, this is absolutely front and center of most, especially medical applications in IoT. The medical space is so heavily regulated in any case that if you are a startup right now, you don't touch the medical sector. You just can't, because you can't afford the time that it takes to actually get your product approved, and it's a really, but that's not to say that, so especially with the example that I showed of the GPS shoes for Alzheimer patients in my presentation, there are huge conversations in Alzheimer care forums around those shoes, because they're given to patients who may or may not have advanced Alzheimer's, and at what stage and at what stage of diagnostics do you start giving them, because they help the carer in a more important way. But before that, actually they debilitate someone in their life because suddenly they're traceable and trackable. So the conversations around the insurance sector will amplify that massively, and I think insurance companies are very careful around this and also tiptoeing around this. But these are conversations that are happening. I think the questions were angled in a way that we wouldn't get into a privacy conversation, but that's not to say that there aren't conferences every single month that have strands that only address that.
Additional comment regarding the privacy. Yeah, we tried to stay out of that because that would be a kind of a
yes, but maybe
breaker.
I can give you one example actually coming from Australia, where insurance company is using smartwatches which are tracking how much you walk, what is your style of life, but then based on that they are giving you discount on their service, and you need to apply for that. Okay, meaning because this is privacy issue, so it has to be your decision that you would like to get some discount, but in exchange, this company will be able to see like how many steps you are doing per day.
All right, thank you. So we actually have to finish off this panel now because I have to go and make a phone call. I can see the person in the toilet is still there, so I need to go and check what's up, if something happened.
I'm really worried for your sanity with this toilet notification.
I'm kidding. Guys, thank you so much, Alexandra, Indrek, Krzysztof, Magnus, and Niclas. Let's give a big round of applause for the panel. Thank you. And we'll actually break now. So for the next 50 minutes, there won't be anything from this stage, but be back in 50 minutes. We'll have more talks and things ready for you. Thank you.